If your SMS program is big enough to matter, there's a good chance your biggest risk is not compliance, content, or even deliverability. The invisible risk you face is throughput. And the problem is most teams do not think about throughput until something has already gone wrong. A campaign goes out late, messages start backing up, a flash sale underperforms, or a time-sensitive promotion arrives hours after it was supposed to. By then, the damage is already done. So let's start with what throughput actually means. At its simplest, throughput is the maximum number of message segments your carrier allows you to send per second on a specific sender type. Every sender has a limit, and when you exceed that limit, your messages do not send faster just because the campaign is urgent. They get placed into a queue. That queue is where a lot of programs get into trouble. If messages sit there too long, they can expire before they are ever delivered, which means they do not arrive late. They simply disappear. Here's a simple example. Imagine you are sending 750,000 messages from a toll-free number running at 3 messages per second. A lot of marketers assume that even if it takes a while, everything will eventually get delivered, but that is not always how it works. The queue can become so large that a meaningful portion of those messages never makes it out the door. That is not a copy problem, a strategy problem, or a creative problem. It is an infrastructure problem, and that brings us to one of the most important decisions a sender can make: sender type. Unfortunately, many businesses never really make that decision on purpose. They just use whatever their platform happened to set up, even though the sender type determines the ceiling they are working under. Toll-free numbers can work well for moderate volume programs. 10 DLC numbers are common, but their throughput is tied directly to your trust score. Short codes can support much higher volume and are often the better fit for organizations sending millions of time-sensitive messages, but they cost more and take longer to register. That is the trade-off. Scale changes the infrastructure decision. The 10 DLC trust score is where a lot of growing businesses get caught off guard because under 10 DLC throughput is not fixed. Carriers assign a brand trust score based on things like business registration, EIN validation, and overall business presence. A lower score usually means a lower throughput ceiling. So even if your program is fully compliant, you can still run into delivery bottlenecks simply because your sending volume has outgrown the infrastructure behind it. That is why the strongest operators do not wait for throughput problems to show up. They design around them before they scale. They separate transactional traffic from promotional traffic, so one-time passwords, account alerts, and critical notifications are not competing with marketing campaigns for capacity. They monitor throughput at the campaign level, not just the account level, because that is where limits can actually show up. They also review campaign registrations regularly because category mismatches are one of the most common issues I find. If a campaign is registered for one use case but is being used for something else, it can create deliverability problems, filtering issues, and throughput limitations that nobody notices until performance starts slipping. So if you only check one thing this week, pull your 10 DLC campaign registration and compare the registered use case to what you are actually sending today. You may find that your program is operating under a lower effective throughput ceiling than you realized. The companies that scale SMS successfully do not treat throughput as a deliverability issue. They treat it as infrastructure. And the earlier you make that shift, the fewer surprises you will have when volume starts growing. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, subscribe for more practical insights on compliance, deliverability, and messaging infrastructure.